We are the fourth. We are Florida.
On a beautiful Sunday afternoon here in the city of brotherly love, we bring you baseball from Citizens Bank Park. It's the Marlins and the Phillies, last of a 4-game series and last game of this road trip before heading home for the Redbirds tomorrow. But first things first, inside the broadcast booth, Paul Severino and Todd Hollinsworth. The Marlins want to get a win today. This has been a rough road trip for them. They have yet to shake hands after a ball game.
Well, and the challenge is Aaron Nola, who's right up there in the National League Cy Young conversation. He's having one of those types of seasons, but he's got 3 losses on the season. Guess what? The Marlins gave him one of them. So I think there's a good chance today. We talk about this an awful lot. If they get rolling, maybe get a lead early in the ball game, pitch from in front. You know, part of this road trip, the big problem is that they, for the most part, been playing from behind.
They certainly have been, and playing at home has certainly been a really big thing for the Philadelphia Phillies. They have succeeded like crazy here at Citizens Bank Park. One of the main reasons why they are atop the National League East.
Well, and it's kind of the way that they do it. You see the home runs, obviously, they've done that an awful lot here at Citizens Bank Ballpark. They pitch particularly well. They win one-run ball games, but the one thing that stands out to me in this series, they've hit 6 home runs. That has produced 12 runs, 12 of the 18 runs that they've scored in this series. So that's kind of how they do it. You go back to yesterday, 4 home runs, all 8 runs, byproducts of those 4 home runs. That's who the Phillies are. They're not a huge batting average team, but they do take their walks, and they do hit the long ball.
You got to figure out a way to keep them in the ballpark today. That will be the job of Dan Straley, who had gone on a really nice run, but his last time out scuffled a little bit. His career against the Philadelphia Phillies, a .573 ERA.
Well, and the topic of conversation really with Straley getting this start is he has got to step into a tough spot against a really talented lineup. Now, 5 guys in the Phillies lineup today have homers against Straley, totaling 7, including Rhys Hoskins, who's hit 3 against him.
Yeah, Rhys Hoskins is a guy who's got terrific numbers against the Marlins. Doesn't matter who's on the mound, but specifically against today's starter.
Well, and you're absolutely right. He's in one of those spots, middle in. Marlins pitching has got to be so careful today not to give him anything up. Inner third, he has been turning on it and has been hitting home runs since the All-Star break.
He has, and there have been a lot of hot bats in this Phillies lineup. We saw Maikel Franco the other night with a walk-off home run. Nick Williams with a home run yesterday to help set the tone in the first inning last night. The final game of this road trip here in Philadelphia. Marlins looking to get in the win column. We've got the first pitch, and Jessica has lunch next. transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. By WB Mason. Who but WB Mason, the official office supply company of the Miami Marlins. By Chevrolet. See your South Florida dealer today. And by South Florida Ford. The final day of Alumni Weekend for the Phillies, celebrating their history, specifically the 10-year anniversary of the 2008 World Series championship team. A packed house here at Citizens Bank Park. An absolutely great day here in Philadelphia. Could not ask for a better afternoon to wrap up this 4-game series. 91 degrees, a little warm, but I think we'd take it given the way that this road trip started in Atlanta with some rain, both delays and postponements, and 91 degrees, not too humid, but a toasty one nonetheless. And speaking of heat, Aaron Nola's got that and plenty more. It'll be his start today. Last time we saw him, the Marlins were able to get some early runs and ride that to a victory.
Well, and that's really the key against Nola today. Very similar. He's a guy who will make some mistakes early in a ball game. If you can get to him and kind of get at that 5.73 first inning ERA, you got a chance. He has been an absolute stud this year, right up there with Scherzer in just about every category. He represented the Philadelphia Phillies at the All-Star game this year. Their lone representative. I'll tell you, this young man has really made some strides this year, and I expect big things from him not only this afternoon, but here in the second half as they try to win this division.
So he toes the slab on a Sunday afternoon as the Marlins look to avoid a 4-game sweep at the hands of the Philadelphia Phillies. The first place Philadelphia Phillies now a game and a half clear of the Atlanta Braves, who fell to the New York Mets last night. So the Phils gained a full game yesterday. The Marlins starting lineup presented to you by Southwest. Derek Dietrich at the top. Brian Anderson in the number 2 hole. JT Realmuto gets the day off with a day game after a night game, so it's Starlin Castro in that three hole. And Justin Bour with a home run last night. He's got 2 home runs in his last 3 games, looking to turn that into more consistent hits. And trying to do that against, again, one of the NL's best this year, Aaron Nola, in his 23rd start.
Yeah, that's right. 12-3 record, as I mentioned. 3 losses. The Marlins gave him one of those losses. Now, his last start was an impressive one. This was a little mano-a-mano. The Philadelphia Phillies made their way up to Boston and played the Red Sox. I think for many, the best team in baseball, at least this during the regular season here in 2018. 8 innings, 4 hits, and earned run. 105 pitches. Boy, oh boy, I think back to the beginning of the year when he was taken out of his first start early to where we are today. 10 starts this season of 7+ innings or more. 9-0 record when he goes that long in a game. All right, looking for first. Well, the Marlins are trying to hand Nola his first loss here at Citizens Bank Ballpark in 2018. In fact, he's 8-0 with a 1.99 ERA. That is second best in the National League. And again, that first inning magic, Paul, you touched on it. That 2-run first inning, July 14th, set the stage for what would be a Marlins win that afternoon. It is definitely going to be key. And the balanced attack, four-seam fastball, sinker, change, and curve. He uses them all, 34%, 15%, 21%, and 29%. It's how his arsenal goes. Throws that changeup to both the lefties and the righties. But really the biggest key of all, getting to him early if you can.
A look there at first-year manager Gabe Kapler. And boy, oh boy, I know we've mentioned it a couple of times throughout the series. We were here for the Phillies opening day, and he walked out to a shower of boos. But these Philly faithful, they are behind Kapler, behind these Phillies. And as they celebrated their 2008 World Series championship team, also an eye on the postseason 10 years later. As Dietrich offers at the first pitch. Into foul territory, Maikel Franco battles the sun and makes the play in foul territory. 1 pitch, 1 out this afternoon.
Let's get you the Philadelphia Phillies defensively behind Nola. Hoskins once again in left field. Herrera back in center. Williams over in right. Maikel Franco at third base. Cabrera in at short. Hernandez, Santana, Alfaro behind the plate once again with Nola on the mound. Alfaro's got a 3.42 catcher's ERA. That's second best in Major League Baseball.
Here is Brian Anderson. Anderson 0 for 3 with a walk in last night's ball game. And he takes a called strike. On the road trip, 5 for 19, 2 doubles, a home run, 3 RBIs. 9 homers and 52 ribbies across this entire season, his rookie campaign. And he shoots one into right field. It'll get down in front of Nick Williams. An opposite field base hit for Brian Anderson. 1 on and 1 out for the Marlins in the first.
Nice job by Brian Anderson doubling up on that outside corner. Nola does. Goes back out again. Brian Anderson makes him pay. Good swing going to right field. Good start this afternoon. You know, it's so interesting. We told you in the open about the Philadelphia Phillies and how they score runs here. You'd think, well, maybe it's the ballpark, right? Home runs, it's a big deal here. You hit them and give them up. Well, for Nola, that's maybe the greatest thing he's done this season is not give up home runs. He's only allowing a home run every 20.2 innings this season. That's best in the National League. He's not had a start in which he's actually given up multi-homers. But if you're going to get him early. 3 of the 7 homers have come in the first inning.
It's inside to Starlin Castro. Castro last night, another multi-hit game for him. That is 35 for him this season. And a check on Anderson. It's actually 36 multi-hit games for him. He and BA both tied for the team lead. It's been a fun little competition between those two guys. You want to get 2 hits? Fine, I'll get 3 hits.
A little back and forth all season long.
Back to back in the lineup today. 2 and 3 against Nola. That one inside. 2 balls and no strikes. Third time this season that the Marlins have seen Aaron Nola. Mentioned the last time a couple of weeks ago, but also back in May retired 17 straight Marlins en route to a 7 1/3 inning pitch outing with 7 strikeouts. That was about a month or so into the season. You certainly knew that this guy was going to be something for the Phillies. Step into that role this year as the ace of this staff, and boy, did the Marlins see it firsthand in May. Nola's 2-0 to Castro. Is in there for a called strike.
That was a pretty good look at the changeup. Breaking it out already. 84 miles an hour, as I mentioned. We'll throw it to the righties and the lefties both.
Long look in for the sign, gets set for the 2-1. That one misses upstairs. 3 balls and a strike. Home plate umpire today is the crew chief Larry Vanover. David Rackley is over at first. Hunter Wendelstedt, the second base umpire today, and Sean Barber is over at third. Hitters count here for Starlin Castro.
Yeah, that's actually a pretty good take right there, Paul. Nola, again, we talk about all the late movement that he has. I know it's that first inning, but he has been dominant in that particular count. Hitters that have tried to put the 3-1 pitch in play only have 1 hit this season.
It's supposed to be a hitter's count.
It is not a hitter's count with Nola on the mound.
Anderson bluffs, and time was called. A late time call by the home plate umpire Larry Vanover.
There's all sorts of information that changed hands right there. 3-2 pitch. Nola lifted his front leg, didn't throw the ball. Anderson faked towards second base. Castro was ready to hit.
We often wonder when that happens, and again, no pitch was thrown, but when the pitch is thrown, you play your hand.
Unless you're willing to change.
Right.
And we've already seen that in this series.
When you're a hitter, are you thinking the exact opposite?
Yeah, I don't know. See ball, hit ball. And I mean that seriously. When you've got 2 strikes, you've got to defend the strike zone in this particular situation. You probably play to the count a little bit more, but you're right. I mean, it's, does he go back to his put away pitch if in fact time is called, the pitch ends up being thrown? We talked about this, I think it was yesterday. We were talking about a breaking ball. I think somebody went back to the fastball late in the game.
Castro enters the day second in the National League in batting average among second basemen behind Scooter Gennett. Anderson goes, and Castro fouls it away.
Well, we certainly applaud Nola. We talk about the movement on his fastball, and he's got one of the better fastballs in the game. It does have a tremendous amount of action, only 194 batting average against, but you can see in the first inning, even there, that was a classic miss. I know it was up and in ultimately, but that was supposed to be low and away, missed all the way across the plate.
Dietrich was retired on the first pitch, his at-bat. Anderson then a base hit. This is the 8th pitch of the at-bat, which will come after a check on Anderson over at first. Anderson goes again. Castro fouls it off again. Now, when you were a hitter, and even now, there is so much information. Did you look at that first inning ERA when you were a hitter, or is that something that now as an analyst you look at a little
it's something
bit more?
that you would talk about. It might promote a little bit more of an aggressiveness early in the count, knowing that there may be some earlier swings. I wasn't surprised that Double D went after that first pitch, thinking right along those lines. They absolutely know where Nola's weakness has been, so they're trying to exploit it. Castro's doing a nice job staying inside that fastball, but yeah, it's a very good point. Yeah, you do know about that stuff.
Anderson goes again. That one misses inside. Throw to second is meaningless as Castro draws the walk.
Well, that's a big pitch right there. It was very interesting. I know that the one that we saw a little bit earlier in the sequence at the top of the strike zone was called a ball. And you do wonder, as umpires try to settle in against Nola's breaking ball, it's 12 to 6, has sharp movement down in the zone. Now, of course, that missed inside, but a good take. Nola willing to go to that breaking ball in the 3-2 pitch.
So that'll bring up Justin Bour. He's got 18 home runs this season. He's got 2 home runs in his last 3 games. Prior to this 3-game stretch, he had just 1 homer in his last 13. A home run to dead center field last night. Right center field earlier this series. This one into the seats down the left field line as we go back to last night's homer to dead center.
Yeah, this is great to see. JB getting those arms extended, no doubter to center field, and starting to get that swagger back. Looks so good in the box right now. The balance is there and able to get that barrel out in front. When he does that, there's a good chance he's going to hit it hard somewhere or out of the park.
On 0-1, Nola delivers a fastball upstairs, 1-1.
And Nola comes in. Quality starts in 17 of 21 this season. Tremendous opportunity here in the first. The Marlins.
We mentioned his last time out against the Boston Red Sox. Red Sox won that game in 13 innings. In fact, both of Nola's last 2 starts, the game has gone to extra innings. They had that 16-inning affair against the Dodgers a couple of weeks ago. But in that start against the Red Sox, 17 of his first 20 pitches were strikes. He was on en route to going 8 innings in his first start at Fenway Park. Bour with a line drive to right field on the edge of the track. It's Nick Williams. Anderson tags and goes to third, 2 away.
Yeah, some tough luck. That ball hit hard by JB, ripped it to right. Williams had him played perfectly. We go back to the warning track and make the catch.
that one didn't fall in for Bohr, but I'm sure he did hit it hard. He'd like more of those to fall in. He's now 2 for his last 26. But again, the 2 home runs. As Martin Prado steps in, runners on the corners and 2 out here in the first inning. Prado back in the starting lineup after a night off last night. A couple of hits and 16 trips on the road trip through Atlanta and Philadelphia. Takes a called strike.
You see him playing him to pull a little bit on the infield. Hernandez a little bit up the middle. Good sized hole over to right. Back to the game July 14th. I believe it was Prado that shot that hole right there for the second run.
That one misses low and away. A ball and a strike. More career home runs, 17, and RBIs, 75 against Philadelphia than against any other opponent. Martin Prado, of course, a lot of his career spent in the National League East. In hopes of getting the Marlins on the board first today in the finale of this 4-game series. Fouls it straight back, and it's 1-2. Anderson, the runner, at third, and Starlin Castro over at first. Prado pops this one up, foul territory behind the Phillies dugout. Marlins making him work, crossing the 20-pitch plateau here in this first inning. Guy in the mix for a Cy Young this year. Max Scherzer, Jacob deGrom, Aaron Nola. Right now the ace of this first place team and their staff. Marlins got to him last time out, trying to get to him today. Prado with the fly ball out to center field. It's Herrera. And Nola works out of some trouble in the first inning. We'll see Dan Straley when we come back. The Rocky Steps Art Museum too, right? Yeah, I think it's an art museum too. For me, most famously the Rocky Steps.
Art museum.
Yeah, right. Today's Phillies starting lineup presented to you by Southwest. Cesar Hernandez at the top, and then Rhys Hoskins and Nick Williams. This is a Phillies lineup. 76 home runs this year. That is second in the National League. Last night, the 5th time they hit 4 in a game. So Dan Straley going to try to keep these guys in the ballpark today as he is on the bump for the 18th time this year.
Yeah, 4.41 ERA. Dan Straley, 4-seam fastball. He has included the sinker in his last few starts, changeup and slider. And he get hit around a little bit. July 31st at Atlanta, 3 2/3 innings, 11 hits, 8 runs, only 5 were earned. But before that, remember, he had a string of 5 consecutive quality starts. He was in a really, really good spot. Would love to get back there today. Key today, keep the ball in the yard.
Cesar Hernandez with 9 home runs this season, connecting on one last night, a career high. But he is out on strikes. I don't think Hernandez liked the pitch.
Well, I like it. Got enough of the strike zone. It's close enough. Well, good start this afternoon for Dan Straley. Set it up early. Talking about using the entire arsenal. I think it's big against a team that's in some ways has some numbers against him. Enough guys in this lineup, some success, including this man right here, 6 for 10 in his career with 3 home runs against Dan Straley. You see the numbers on the season.
Rhys Hoskins takes low. Yeah, Hoskins' numbers this year certainly pretty good. His numbers this year against the Marlins are good. Certainly not as good as his career numbers against Miami. 9 homers, 26 RBIs, and a .351 average in 22 games.
And I think for Dan, he's certainly capable of doing this. He certainly knows that this Philadelphia lineup has started heating up. You mentioned it coming in. Some of the cold hitters have gotten hot over the last couple of days, and really there's not a whole lot of breaks in this lineup. But the ability to be completely unpredictable all game long. I think you may see that from Dan today. Hoskins saw a first pitch breaking ball, then he saw a changeup, then a 2-seam fastball away. You may not see Dan double up on pitches at all.
Straley bumped up a day in terms of the rotation, but the rainout made it so that he could go today. Moves Wei-Yin Chen back to tomorrow. Of course, we have talked at length about the home road splits for Wei-Yin Chen. Much better at home, where he will start tomorrow against the St. Louis Cardinals. Not sure how many times going forward the Marlins will be able to quote-unquote manipulate the rotation that way, but Don Mattingly said yesterday, I don't have an explanation for it, so I'm just going to ride it.
Yeah, it pretty much is beyond explaining.
Told you, it's like the crop circles. Nobody knows. Hoskins, broken bat, looper out to Rojas, and there are 2 away.
Well, let's get you the Marlins defensively for this afternoon's ball game. Behind Dan Straley, Dietrich will be in left, Sierra in center, Anderson over in right. Prado and Rojas make up the left side of the infield. Castro on board the right. Holiday making his 29th start behind the plate. Dan on the mound. I'll tell you what, that was some tremendous sequencing right there with Hoskins. Think about it. Fastball away, fastball in, breaking ball. That's where it started. Also through the changeup. I think that's who Dan needs to be this afternoon, and so far so good.
He faces Nick Williams, who hit his 15th home run of the season last night, a 3-run homer in the first inning. Phillies played from in front the whole night. Marlins added a couple late runs. Lost the 3rd game of this 4-game set, 8-3.
Dan comes in with an ERA of 4 on the road over 9 starts. One thing that we know about Dan is he gets better as the game goes on. Big challenge here this first time through the lineup. Sometimes you see that elevated batting average against, but as the game goes on, that second time only 273, third time 125, so more Dan Straley is a good thing if he gets into rhythm.
Two balls and a strike to Williams. Last 14 games for Nick Williams, hitting .333, 4 home runs, and 9 RBIs. He has taken a strong hold of that everyday right field spot here in Philadelphia. As Carlos Santana waits on deck. Out to Sierra, a couple of steps toward left center field, and Dan Straley sets the Phillies down in order in the first inning. Chance to win an all-inclusive stay in Nassau in the Bahamas on Labor Day weekend for the Southwest Airlines Summer Days Getaway. Just tweet hashtag Southwest Summer Days Sweeps and hashtag sponsored to @FoxSportsFL for your chance to win. It'll be Miguel Rojas to lead things off for the Marlins, and then Magneuris Sierra and Brian Holiday. Marlins with a hit in the first inning thanks to Brian Anderson. And through one, the only hit here this afternoon. Rojas 1 for 3 last night, connecting on a home run, number 8 this year for him, and this one is lined out to left field. Hoskins with the sliding catch, able to corral it for the first out.
Well, great swing from Rojas. Jumped all over a breaking ball. Hoskins got a pretty good read on it. Comes in, and I think from all indications, yeah, sure did. Was able to catch it right off the top of the grass.
Here is Sierra. Sharply hit on a hop to Cabrera. And there are 2 away. Well, listen, 2 outs in the second inning. I'm not saying he can't get got today, but you did have the numbers. We talked about the first inning ERA. That's kind of the chance to get Nola. But when you looked at his other innings,
well, that's where he actually becomes more impressive. It's it. Just trying to avoid mentioning it, but since you brought it up.
Well, I just figured it would just set the table. That way they can undo it all.
2.53 ERA every inning. That's the highest inning he's got the rest of the way, or less. He really settles in. That idea of getting him early is such a key. When you look at the numbers, the trouble that he's had in the first inning, even go back to his last start against the Marlins, it exists. He's had issues in the first inning, but generally speaking, he gets much, much better, as that 2.53 ERA being the worst of any other inning.
Oh, and 1 to Brian Holiday. You know, I did say, Pally, that there's 2 outs in the second. He can get got. I mean, come on. Left myself an out.
I was just trying to avoid it altogether. Kind of does explain Nola early on in the ball game. And we did see it. Of course, he threw 20+ pitches in the first inning. The breaking ball, the sinker, and the change as well. But ideally, most come out, and you're going to see a few more fastballs in that first inning. Now, he doesn't possess overwhelming velocity. Nola known more as a pitcher, and it's the balanced attack that has made him so good. Four-seam fastball, 194 batting average against, sinker 195, changeup 210, curve 199. It tells you how his arsenal plays.
And Brian Holiday with a line drive base hit into center field.
Tell you what, Holiday's been waiting around for an opportunity. Got in the ball game last night, had a great at bat and hit a rocket to right. Fortunately, it was caught. Great swing here. Short, compact, stayed inside the ball and drove it to center field for a 2-strike line drive base hit here in the second.
Well, it is a tough job being Brian Holiday behind arguably the best catcher in Major League Baseball, and JT Realmuto. So when you get those days, those usually day game after a night game, got to make the most of those opportunities. As Straley sends one out to Williams, and on 9 pitches, Aaronola is through the second.
Is have your caricature drawn. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. Let's see how it turns out. It's done, and it is perfect. I can't wait to show this to you guys. I'll see you soon.
Oh, I am looking forward to that. Let's make sure the elevator works. I want that picture up here in 10 minutes. Dan Straley toes the slab here for the bottom of the second. Carlos Santana as Drupal Cabrera and Odubel Herrera due up for the Phils. A crisp 1-2-3 inning for Straley in the first. Well, a lot has been made of Carlos Santana and his walks thus far here in 2018. This series 5 for 11 with a home run and an RBI.
Well, he's starting to figure things out against the Marlins. They'd had his number this season and in his career. Coming into the series, sitting in the low 100s against the Marlins this season. Ironically, he had been kind of that go-to spot a number of times through the first few games this season of trying to get a big out. That's definitely changed, certainly after yesterday's ball game. 3 rockets, 1 to left, 1 to right, and then the home run into the upper deck.
Yeah, the way the Phillies have been going right now, there aren't too many of those holes in their lineup this weekend. Gabe Kapler's got to be happy with the way that his team has been playing. They split a 2-game series in Boston before the Marlins came to town. This one rocketed foul. But a West Coast trip coming up starting tomorrow for the Phillies. They'll play 3 in Arizona and 3 in San Diego before coming home for the Red Sox. The back half of that, I guess, 4-game season series. Two and two. Swung on and missed. Strike 3. Straley's got 2 strikeouts today.
Join the Marlins on Saturday, August 11th, as they take on the Mets. Arrive early to get your hands on a Marlins tropical jersey presented by DR Tourism. Sure tickets today at marlins.com/giveaways. Don't be late, Paul. Looks like something you'd like.
Absolutely. I wear a lot of blue. That's got some pink in it, but I'm not ashamed to wear a pink shirt every once in a while. Just bought a new pink tie yesterday.
There you go.
You'll be very happy to know. As Drupal Cabrera, who prior to last night's 2 for 4 night, including a home run, was 3 for 23. With 7 strikeouts and no RBIs.
And I think Phillies fans somewhat surprised at that. One of the big reasons he was brought over, not only his veteran leadership, but his success at Citizens Bank Park. Career .376 hitter here.
We saw him with the Mets earlier this season, and we talked about it a little bit last night, but that first half that he had, arguably the best of his career, at least in terms of the run production. Career high 52 RBIs before the All-Star break. Joined Edgardo Alfonso as the only Met second baseman with 50 or more RBIs before the All-Star break.
Yeah, I think back to April, and we saw the Mets in the middle of that. I believe it was what, 11-1 start to their season.
Yeah,
and he was a big part. Things have certainly changed in New York for the Mets.
And the role has changed for Cabrera as well. Was for the most part an everyday second baseman with the Mets, but here I don't really want to say part-time, but yeah, I guess to some degree part-time shortstop. He and Scott Kingery will share some time. Kind of depends on the matchup. One would think he'll get the bulk of the starts over Kingery, who's had a rough time getting things going so far in 2018. But the moral of the story is the Phillies, who may have arrived to the party a year early in some people's eyes, making sure that they've got what it takes to go for it these last 2 months. Straley's got what it takes with 3 strikeouts so far today.
Hey Marlins fans, now you can stream games live on your mobile device with Fox Sports Go, presented by Coors Light. Download the app and take Fox Sports Florida and Marlins baseball wherever you go. I'll tell you now, Dan Straley has got it going on. He is game planning so well. How about a couple of breaking balls to the inside part of the plate to Cabrera, and then dialing up 92 on that top of the zone towards that outside corner. Fantastic sequencing.
Odubel Herrera takes a ball upstairs, 1-0. Herrera 1 for 8 so far in the series, 19 homers, 58 RBIs. His 58 RBIs lead all major league center fielders. The 19 home runs, third. Mike Trout with 29, Charlie Blackmon with 20. Straley finds the zone on 2-0. Well, the thing about Dan, we mentioned the run that he was on. We can go into greater depth when there aren't 2 outs in an inning, but 3 2/3 last time out, back-to-back starts of less than 6 innings. I might as well do it right now. His first 5 starts this season, he was 0-3 with a 7.20 ERA. Then he was ejected in the game against San Francisco on June 19th. Suspension ensued, the whole 9 yards. Next 6 starts, 2-1, 3.08 ERA, and a batting average against a little under 200. Trying to get back to that form. But he issues the 2-out walk to Herrera. One on, 2 out for Maikel Franco. Just 2 for 12 in this series, but one of those 2, the big blow on Thursday night, the walk-off home run.
Well, both hits coming in that game, and then the walk-off. He's been 0 for 7 since that walk-off, so nice job by the Marlins staff making some adjustments. Comes in a hot hitter. Last 36 games hitting .328 with 9 homers and 20 RBIs.
We talked about Williams before and how Williams has really stolen that everyday right field job. The same for Franco. I mean, you can go back a little over a month or so ago, and Franco was just about ready to get run out of town. Pops this one up behind home plate. Holiday will not have room. But boy, oh boy, did they not run him out of town on Thursday night.
Yeah, turned into a hero once again. Huge moment as the Phillies were able to rally against the Marlins and kind of set the tone for what is been a very productive series for the Philadelphia Phillies, improving upon their 13, or I should say 37-18 home record, 11-2 over their last 13 home games, and really did kind of set the tone for what we've seen in the next 2 games. The Marlins trying to steal this afternoon's game and get out of town with a 1-3 record in this 4-game set.
And try to head home with a win from this road trip. Lost both games in Atlanta. Wednesday's game rained out. They're the first 3 here, so a 5-game skid for the Marlins. But it starts, as it always does, with starting pitching. And frankly, pitching in general. Team ERA during this 5-game skid is up over 6. But Straley has himself 4 strikeouts through the first 2 innings. Scoreless here at Citizens Bank Park.
wanted to see how my caricature turned out.
Wait, time out. We never said that.
No, we did.
Oh, you
we
did?
didn't, but we did. Yeah.
You guys both
But
said
we're a we.
that you wanted to hear how the caricature turned out. There you go.
Yes. Oh,
Can we get a
that is
tight
awesome.
shot of that?
Yeah, right here, right here. It's
you
called
go.
the Snoop Cam. Look at that.
That's got to go. That's got to go in the booth. Well done.
No, that's going in my home.
Oh wow.
Make a photocopy.
Okay, I
I
guess
need
it won't
one
go
of
in the
those.
booth.
That is going on my wall of fame right
my
there.
I guess that won't be going in the booth.
Okay, let's see.
That is
Does it look like you guys? I think it does.
I have blue eyes, but other than that, fantastic.
True, you do have blue eyes.
I do have blue eyes.
How'd
We
you end up
both
with
have
brown?
it. I don't know.
Look at that chiseled jaw on Todd.
Oh, Allensworth. I mean, isn't
Blockhead.
it?
Blockhead. There you go.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Just a handsome devil right there.
Yeah, sorry guys.
Chiseled from granite. Look at this guy.
I'm gonna hang on to this one.
Yeah, you are. Make sure that gets on the plane. Nice on nice.
They gave you a little bit of hair up there on top too.
That's why I let the brown eye color just kind of
I tipped him extra for that.
Outstanding.
help a brother out.
Outstanding.
I like it. Thank you, Jessica. Terrific. That's pretty cool. I like that.
You got blue eyes though.
I do have blue eyes.
This is pretty good.
Beautiful,
Although
beautiful blue eyes.
I think that should go up in the booth, don't you?
Yeah, I think you're right.
No.
No, absolutely. I think we probably make a phone call or something. Dietrich to first. Santana knocks it down and steps on the bag. One away here in the third. After Dietrich, Anderson, and Castro. You're just admiring the caricature?
Your hair is what I love it.
It's like a little bit. There's not
Just a
much.
little bit up there,
It's
right?
kind of like what I got. Like not a lot, just enough. I have gotten some advice from some of the coaching staff who will remain nameless but coach third to just go like full on shaved it right down.
I look like Richard Nixon.
You do. You absolutely
I think
do.
I look a little bit like Richard Nixon, don't you think? There's a little Richard Nixon in there.
That is nice.
Yeah, well done.
I like that.
All right, back to baseball.
No, not yet.
No, you're not ready?
No, okay, fine. I was going to say, some people think we are caricatures anyway, but
It's
now
true.
it's just
Well, we pretty much are.
in crayon or marker or I don't know what they use actually, but either way, it's a phenomenal job. Thanks to Jessica and certainly
much.
the artist as well, who did
They're very grateful.
and whoever
Fantastic
paid for
job.
it too, because I didn't shell out a dime for this thing, but I will keep it, albeit in the booth. Ball and 2 strikes to Brian Anderson, who registered the Marlins' first hit today with a base hit into right back in the first. Entered the day 8th in the National League in hits. Marlins have 2 singles today against Aaron Nola, which should come as no surprise. He is first in the major leagues in opponent slugging percentage. 284 would make for an adequate batting average, never mind slugging percentage.
Yeah, that's the slugging percentage against, and again, favors that first inning. But listen, he makes mistakes, there's no doubt. The question is, can you do something with those mistakes? He's got kind of a lethal combination. You mentioned the fact that so many of his numbers speak Cy Young.
And Anderson has done it again. Another multi-hit game for Brian Anderson. That makes 37 this year to lead the club.
Well, as that ground ball is ripped through the right side, excuse me, left side. Sometimes with Anderson, I get so used to him going the other way. Yeah, well, how about it? It's a pitch up at the thigh and rips it into left. Great swing, good balance.
as you mentioned, second hit of the day. Kind of get back to Nola. That's what he does well. Strikeouts, he's top 5 in the National League. Also groundouts. Pretty good combination for this ballpark. Starlin Castro worked to walk his first time up. Quality at bat after Anderson's single in the first.
Well, Don Mattingly was asked today before the game, what's the key to beating Aaron Nola? His answer was not the offense. His answer was our starting pitcher. Our starting pitcher has to keep our club in the game. Now, through 2 innings, Dan Straley has done that. But again, last time out against the Marlins for Nola, it was a 2-0 victory.
Right.
The starting pitcher on the other side did his job, and that's what we talk about so much when it's a guy like DeGrom or Scherzer or Kershaw or Nola or whoever that ace is. It's not a head-to-head so much, pitcher to pitcher, but sometimes it is.
Yeah, that's the key to the team win. That's the idea. It's certainly where the question is going. You know, you look at it up and down, you know, where you might find a weakness in Nola's armor, and there really aren't any. I mean, even me pointing out the 5.32 ERA in the first inning, that's not shocking for most. I mean, you look at even Scherzer's of the world. I mean, you know, a lot of guys come out in that first inning, it's a little rougher than it is the rest of the ball game. But you do end up making a big deal about it because there's just not much to go on when you're trying to find the hole in Nola's game. I'll tell you what's been impressive is Straley has channeled his inner Nola in kind of going at the Philadelphia Phillies. Same type of arsenal. Hitters counts. You've seen the changeup and the breaking ball. You've seen it at the beginning of the at bat. So you put a few guys away with the fastball up.
One ball and 2 strikes to Castro. That one a little up, right on the edge. Castro swings and misses for out number 2 in the 3rd.
Miami, join us for our Neighborhood Night Series. We are hosting Kendall Night at Marlins Park on Saturday, August 11th. You can start at just $12 for all residents. For more information, visit marlins.com/Kendall.
The first strikeout of the afternoon for Nola, and it brings up Justin Bohr, who takes a strike. We are seeing from Larry Vanover today a little bit of extra room on that outside corner, or either outside corner, I suppose, lefty or righty. Inside to Bohr. StatCast AI powered by AWS. The distribution of balls in play on the ground in the infield, and look at how the Phillies have him play that big lane, that 41% lane. Nobody's home. Now Cabrera's on the line. Looks like if that line were extended to the outfield, Hernandez is there too, but they don't necessarily clog it with 3 men on the infield dirt.
Well, you know, and it's so interesting. We talk about this an awful lot. Now the Phillies have got some negative marks when it comes to the defensive shifts and how many runs they've been able to save and how beneficial it actually has been with their staff. The point is, though, they do it a little bit different than everybody else, and it is who they are. But we've seen a few holes in the weakness in that defense and the ability to exploit it. I was thinking back to even the last Nola start. In fact, we talked about it the way they were playing Prado. You see the numbers once again, right? Nobody's standing square in the middle of the 41%, but you've got Hernandez on the line, Cabrera guarding the other line. You're almost dismissing the 22% on the complete left side of the infield. You know, for Maikel Franco, his glove side obviously is more towards the middle. I mean, anything from Franco to the third base bag is a base hit for Justin Bohr.
And we did see, I believe it was Friday night, he tried to just kind of push bunt the other way. Vince Velasquez, quick off the mound, made the play. course, there are people at home, I'm sure, that sit there and say, well, geez, he's got all that room and do that all the time. Not that easy.
No.
Game also has to dictate the opportunities to do
Well,
that.
you also see the extreme end of the shifts with 2 strikes where the hitter's the most vulnerable.
One ball and 2 strikes. Left side, and that will reach the seats.
Sure about that? Only reason I say that is that nobody was there. That ball hit the field.
Yeah, right.
I mean, that's just so shocking. I mean, this day and age, that's the way it goes. If you're playing straight up right there, that's a pop out.
It's got to be a 150-foot run for Franco. Didn't even.
Oh, he had no shot at
didn't even
catching that.
budge.
It's just, when do you see a pop up on a major league field fall on the field and nobody's around to catch it?
All right. 1-2 to Santana, who pivots and flips to Nola. And we are through 2.5 here at Citizens Bank Park. Scoreless game. Marlins and Phillies. The last of the third here in Philadelphia, last of a 4-game set between these two clubs. This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Miami Marlins and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Miami Marlins. Could not ask for a nicer afternoon here in Philly. Terrific way to end this road trip. Trying to end it with a W as Jorge Alfaro takes the ball upstairs. Alfaro, Nola, and back to the top of the lineup for the Phillies here in the third against Dan Straley. Alfaro got the night off last night. Andrew Knapp in the lineup. Got a couple of hits in Alfaro's absence. And Alfaro cuts and misses the ball on the strike. Good numbers this year against the Marlins for Alfaro. 12 for 31. That's a .387 average. 2 homers, 5 RBIs. Mentioned earlier the Phillies doing all they can, despite, at least from the beginning of the season, maybe being a year ahead of schedule. See how the playing time works going forward for Alfaro and Knapp with the acquisition of Wilson Ramos from the Tampa Bay Rays. But again, one of the reasons why the Phillies all in this trade deadline Right now, they are looking to go 15 games over 500 for the first time since the end of the 2011 season, when they finished 102-60.
Well, with the first 3 wins, the Marlins in this 4-game series have evened up their record in the National League East at 21-21.
Alfaro with a base hit into center field to start the 3rd.
Sounds like he broke his bat just enough for a leadoff single here in the 3rd. Caught it off the end. Breaking ball away, but stayed on it. Alfaro, he's had a nice series. Now 3 for 7.
That'll bring up Aaron Nola in a sacrifice situation. Martin Prado expecting it over at 3rd and on the grass. And that one bunted foul, 0-1.
I like how Dan's thinking. He's not going to just give Nola something to bunt and accept the out. He wants a little bit more. That's why you saw the elevated fastball first above the strike zone. It's not an easy pitch to bunt. You may see that combination of some breaking balls down at the bottom of the zone. See if he can ideally stay out of the middle.
Bunted foul again, 0-2.
Nice job there. That was the changeup.
Squares again and pulls back. They throw to first and they got him. There's a called strike 3 on Nola, who squared, pulled it back, but it was right down the middle. And then Holiday with the presence of mind to throw down to first base and get Alfaro.
Yeah, who had drifted too far off the bag. He was anticipating action. Watch Alfaro, 2 hard steps towards second. That curveball, not touched, slider if you will. Good vertical action, but again, Nola. Dan Straley, I'm telling you, very impressive here. First time through the lineup. Holy cow. How about that sequence of pitches? Gave him a fastball up, a changeup, and then a breaking ball. No shot there, and able to get the double play. Well done.
5 strikeouts through the first 9 batters faced today for Straley. Back to the top of the order for Cesar Hernandez.
Hernandez a strikeout victim to start the game.
I think Bohr was even a little bit shocked at how far off the bag Alfaro was, because his first instinct was catch it and get to the base, and Alfaro was not yet in the neighborhood.
Well, you know what kind of is quite deceiving for base runners is the jabbing at a bunt and really no contact. Straley walks Hernandez. I mean, that can be complicated for hitters, especially with 2 strikes. So Alfaro's at first base anticipating that at least something's going to happen on that ball, and he completely missed it. All right, we saw some great sequencing early. How about a first pitch slider and then a changeup? I told you how hot Hoskins is. All right, so he falls behind, picks up a strike on the outside corner, 2-seamer, then goes back inside. Okay, no pattern there. Oh, I'll throw you a pitch you haven't even really seen yet other than off the plate. It was the first one and the 5th one. Nice job by Dan Straley breaking Hoskins' bat. First time up, a little pop to short.
Time was called. Second time today that we've seen that. The late timeout granted. And the home plate umpire, Larry Vanover. Each pitcher having to deal with it. Next pitch will be number 50 for Straley. Hoskins in the air. Right side giving chase is Bohr, but too long a run for him and Anderson. Hoskins has reached base safely in 21 straight games, a career high. In that span, hitting .339, 8 homers, 16 RBIs prior to the pop-up back in the first inning. Takes the ball outside, 1-1.
And we talk about the great sequencing that we witnessed the first time up against Hoskins, and really just about everybody in this Philadelphia Phillies lineup. Got to give Holliday an awful lot of credit with that. Of course, Dan Straley just kind of following along. That's the union we talk about, coming together, having a great game plan and sticking to it. Dan Straley's not out there dissecting each of the Phillies, but Holliday is. Dan is just merely executing the pitches and following right along with what Holliday's thinking.
Blocked by Holliday, keeps it in front. No advance for Hernandez. Straley's last start came against the Atlanta Braves. That was the game that had that 1 hour and 27-minute rain delay at the beginning of the game. Dan made no excuses to his performance based on the rain delay, not at all. But did say that he just didn't have it. Didn't have location, didn't have stuff. Everything they hit found a hole. Certainly frustrated with his performance earlier this week in Atlanta. Trying to bounce back against this tough Phillies team. 2-1 to Hoskins. Into right center field. And into the sun. Anderson lost it, but a good thing that Sierra was there. Either he lost it in the sun or gave way to the center fielder. Either way, we're scoreless through 3.
But he was still able to make an impact. There was a huge Marlins fan at the game named Josh. Before the game, Prado not only had a chance to say hi to him, but he brought him an autographed bat that said, "To my best friend Josh." Now, Josh and Martin have known each other for years, all the way back to Prado's playing days with the Diamondbacks. Guys, these are the stories that we love to tell. What a special moment for both Josh and Martin.
Yeah, Jessica, thanks so much. And listen, we talk about this all the time. The ability and frankly, in some cases, also the responsibility of a major league player who, to many, you guys are heroes, and the chance to give back and just kind of give your time and a little bit of yourselves.
I'll tell you what, Martin Prado, to me, and I've gotten to know him a little bit over the last couple of seasons, I mean, there's really not much more I can say other than he's the ultimate class act as far as a professional athlete is concerned. But my, oh my, what a balanced human being. And I mean that in the sense that he shows up every day, says hi to everybody on the bus, whether he's 0 for 4 or 4 for 4. He is the same guy day in and day out. And when you can maintain that balance, you kind of start to think, boy, he's got the characteristics of a captain,
yeah,
or a leader, or somebody that you would love to have in your clubhouse.
Out to left center field, Hoskins coming in, and he will close in on it and make the catch for the first out. Yeah, the Marlins do not have an official captain the way some other clubs do, but certainly unofficially, Prado is the leader of this team, and I think you're right. I mean, just again, as an outsider coming in for this 2018 season myself, like, you look at it and you're like, well, you know what, if this team is going to go into a certain direction and build something sustainable, you've got to build it on a foundation of playing the game the right way. And if that's the guy that you kind of look at and say, okay, guys, you know what, follow that player right there. I remember when he got hurt a couple of months ago, Don Mattingly said, if I had a team of 25 Martin Prados, I could win you a championship.
Right.
You know, he may not be the most talented player in Major League Baseball. We know that. But you know what? He's the type of guy you need in the clubhouse.
He's complete. I mean, that's the idea. Most of us aren't. I wasn't. I certainly wasn't a complete. I mean, I was much easier to talk to, and you know, when the numbers were being put on the board, when you're going through that 2 for 21, wasn't too chatty, if you know what I mean. And you try not to be that way, but you care so much.
Very similar play as Rojas flies out into left center for out number 2.
It's easy to beat the heat when you become an energy-saving expert. Go to fpl.com/beattheheat.
2 outs here in the 4th. That'll bring up Magneuris Sierra. Taps that one foul at the plate. 0-1. Sierra in center field today on that ball that ended the bottom of the 3rd inning. Fortunately, they both, he and Anderson, got there. And again, I don't know if Anderson, have to ask him after the game if he lost it in the center, just kind of veered off because the center fielder took charge. But
well, and that's the thing. I think everybody kind of expected Anderson to make the catch, but I'll tell you what, I was watching actually Sierra come all the way across the field. He called it. I think it was just a matter of time before Anderson actually heard him. Sierra had complete control of the situation, doing everything that you want to see the young man do in center field. He was the captain. He made the catch.
Left side, Cabrera. And an 8-pitch 4th inning for Nola. Back to Philly in a moment. Trust Cleveland Clinic, Florida, the #1 orthopedic care in Florida. And by Publix, where shopping is a pleasure. Boathouse Row here in Philadelphia. A look over there at the Schuylkill River.
Right, that's right behind the Art Museum.
Right, and Rocky, and his steps.
Technically, yes.
That is quite the attraction, by the way. The Rocky statue.
Yeah.
My goodness.
Just got to go at the right time.
I know. The last time we were here, we had an off day built in for that opening series. So on the off day, I walked over there. I mean, it would have been a 20-minute wait to take a picture.
I went over a couple mornings ago. There was nobody there.
Morning, you say?
Sure went on a little midnight jaunt, and I didn't want to deal with the crowd.
The Night Rider.
I got over there. There was only one person trying to take my picture. Very nice gentleman. I said, "That's okay."
But you did check in with us.
I did.
Small group of us that
checked in with Mama as well. She was very concerned with my idea. You're going to go what on a midnight run? Yeah, I'm going to go see Rocky.
Yeah. Two balls and a strike to Nick Williams, leading things off here in the bottom of the 4th. This one grounded foul right to Gabe Kapler. Back home tomorrow for the St. Louis Cardinals. First of a 3-game set. South Florida Honda dealers present Marlins Live. The pregame show, Craig Minervini, Tommy Hutton, and Jeff Nelson on the air at 6:30. Luke Weaver and Wei-Yin Chen, the 2 starting pitchers. First pitch a little after 7. So it is Luke Weaver tomorrow. Right now, as Williams is called out on strikes to begin the 4th. Right now, it is Weaver and then Miles Michaelis and John Gant. But the St. Louis Cardinals acquired Tyson Ross earlier today.
Let's take a look at this backup slider. Nice job. It's Williams. I'll tell you what. He had a pretty good swing his first time up. Had one of the hardest hit balls in that first inning. A line out to center. And he's been staying inside the ball. Oh boy, Dan Straley's gone to that pitch a number of times against the lefties. It's worked.
Here's another lefty. Switch hitter. Carlos Santana. Fouls it right back. Yeah, Tyson Ross added to the St. Louis Cardinals today. Claimed him off of waivers. Hadn't been pitching all that well recently. Yeah, Ryan Howard signing autographs on Alumni Weekend. How about that? Speaking of St. Louis, of course.
Big part of the championship team.
Ryan Howard from
their history of recent memory. Yeah, the Tyson Ross acquisition. It'll be interesting to see how they choose to use him. I mean, my idea behind it really was that they're trying to protect some of those young arms in the rotation, including Weaver, who's going tomorrow. Start creeping towards career highs and starts and innings. Ross might be able to provide some buffer moving forward. Cardinals kind of sort of in it, but they need to make a run.
Entering the day 7.5 back of the first place Chicago Cubs. Perhaps eyes more on the wild card in these last couple of months. Well, a walk for Santana. St. Louis 4 back of that second wild card. Milwaukee and Atlanta have those 2 wild card spots as we speak. LA, the Dodgers a half game out. Rockies 2.5 back, and then Pittsburgh and St. Louis. So there's actually drama in the pennant race.
A little bit.
I don't think anybody in the American League side of things is saying anything
No,
like that, right?
That's too much.
Pretty much all locked up. Especially with the way the Red Sox have been playing this weekend, taking the first 3 games from the New York Yankees. They'll wrap up that 4-game set tonight. Red Sox have opened up an 8.5 game lead on New York. 0-1 to Asdrubal Cabrera, who struck out in the second inning. Cuts and misses here. 0-2. One of the 6 strikeouts today for Straley. Grounded foul. Straley on the doorstep of tying a season high 7 strikeouts, in which he's done 3 times this season. Most recently against the Milwaukee Brewers on July 11th. Part of that run that Straley was on.
I think the impressive part, no matter where this goes, is that 66 pitches in, he's already to that point. I mean, he has been on his game this afternoon, pitch for pitch against Nola.
Santana on via the walk, leads away from first. There's a look at the distribution of balls in play on the ground in the infield, and again you see that Cabrera, when he gets it on the ground, it's usually to the right side, but notice how the Marlins play 3 infielders on the dirt, whereas the Phillies kind of that quote-unquote traditional shift where they have that second baseman or infielder in shallow right field. Marlins put guys on the dirt, and then you can make a play. You're not throwing a ball 150 feet to try to get the guy at first base.
Yeah. Phillies have had their fair share of errors this season.
Whether it's the Marlins or the Phillies or whoever, shifts just across the game over the last, call it 10 years, have gone up so much that, you know, when teams acquire players off-season, trade deadline, what have you, they think, well, you know what, we don't need to get a quote-unquote third baseman. We just need somebody to play third base. This one on the ground to second. Rojas with the turn, and Cabrera grounds into the inning-ending double play. Through 4 in a scoreless ball game in Philly. Turned to end the bottom of the fourth inning.
Now making pitches, getting the ball on the ground. Dan Straley does a fantastic job. Back up breaking ball there. See Cabrera roll over the top. Quick turn by Castro. Nice throw by Rojas across the diamond to finish it. Going up against this Phillies lineup. We mentioned it early, Cabrera being one of them as well. Dan Straley had given up 7 home runs to 5 individuals in the Phillies lineup today. And he has been on his game. Ball's either, for the most part, been on the ground or a strikeout.
Knee buckling breaking ball to Brian Holliday to lead off the 5th inning. Holliday with a base hit in his first trip. Then it's Dan Straley and Derek Dietrich, 8, 9, and 1, due up against Nola here in the 5th inning. Backhanded by Cabrera. And Holliday is retired for the first out. Time for the Chevrolet Prospect Spotlight. Nick Neidert, how about this? Last night, 13 strikeouts, no walks in 8 innings pitched. Came over in the deal with the Mariners. D. Gordon going to Seattle this season, pitching to a sub-3 ERA. Also picked up his Southern League leading 10th win.
That's impressive stuff from Neidert. 21-year-old getting it done. Fantastic season.
125 innings pitched, leads the league, and the 131 strikeouts, ranking 2nd. There's Straley. I mean, again, you right here after the trade deadline, when so many moving parts and trades and prospects going this way and that way and whatever else there might be, this is the time that the scouting services will reassess the farm systems. And you look at where this farm system was maybe 13 or 14 months ago compared to where it is now and where it will continue to go. And I certainly know that the Marlins front office personnel, the people involved with this team, are very happy with how things have progressed in the last year and a half, we'll say.
That's absolutely the truth. The system is starting to produce. It's what you want to see. Neidert certainly a reflection of that. I always find it so interesting, you know, minor league baseball, especially for the pitchers. We talk sequencing an awful lot. You know, that applies so much at the major league level, where you see hitters over and over and over again. It doesn't factor in nearly as much in the minor leagues. A lot more of that minor league conversation really kind of lends itself to stuff.
Well, for me, I think that's what makes Pablo Lopez so fun to watch, is that he's kind of got that, and again, it may change, but he's got that mental part of the game right now.
Every weekday morning, Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharp go head-to-head on the day's hottest sports topics. Undisputed with Skip and Shannon, weekdays from 9:30 a.m. till noon Eastern, only on FS1.
You know, just the way that Lopez may have a bad start or a rough start, and immediately he knows what he's done wrong. It's not like, I don't know what happened today. Like, he's got a plan. He knows what he wants to focus on over the course of the next 4 or 5 days. You know, this is part of the reason why he's up here. He burst the door down to get to the big leagues.
Absolutely. Big breaking ball there, swung on and missed by Double D. 2 for 2 this afternoon. Yeah, raising pitching at the major league level, that's not an easy thing to do, and fans need to understand. I mean, listen, elite stuff, and certainly there's a few Marlins who have, you know, 98, 99 mile an hour fastballs. That's not where I'm going. Yeah, but the idea that, you know, you get to the big leagues, you got to figure out how your stuff plays. You got to figure out what hitters at the major league level are looking for, and then you start to see teams the second and third time. I mean, patterns happen, game happens. There's so much for these young starters to learn. It's very difficult to teach it in the minor leagues. Innings are controlled, pitches are controlled, the teams you're playing, you know, you're basically talking about prospect teams. Now, you may run into 1 or 2 guys who happen to be on your course, meaning A ball, AA, AAA, and how fast you're moving. So you may run across them, but you don't run across teams that you're quite familiar with over and over and over again.
Right.
A lot of times these guys switch leagues. They switch organizations that they're even competing against. You know, from A ball to AA to AAA, because those teams are all over the country. But when you get up here to the big league level, what's the story become? How do you stay here? How do you compete? How do you get 40 at-bats of history against Freddie Freeman? And oh, by the way, have to get him out. Good luck.
Yes. That has been an issue this year. 70th pitch of the day for Nola is sent into right field. A base hit for Dietrich. And up to second goes Straley. Marlins have 2 on, 1 out here in the 5th inning.
Nice job by Double D. After chasing that first breaking ball that was down and in, it's a backup curveball and rips it into right.
Going to bring up Brian Anderson. Couple of hits for him, 2 singles and 2 trips. Nola has gotten ahead of 15 of the 19 Marlins he has faced today. A first pitch strike, 79%. One of the reasons why he has worked the first 4 1/3 scoreless, but a threat here for the Marlins in the 5th.
Right man, right spot. 2 hits today against Nola. 404 with runners in scoring position.
How about the way the Marlins have battled Nola? They have 4 hits. 3 of them have come with 2 strikes.
I told you earlier, they're not going to come in 3-1 counts.
No. To 16 for 20 first pitch strikes now as Anderson looks at ball 1.
Well, ideally Anderson would love to get something middle away. He loves to shoot the ball to right center field in these situations. Keep the ball off the ground. Got to be careful though. He is prone to that ground ball.
Enters the day 3rd in Major League Baseball with a .404 batting average with runners in scoring position. Looking for one here to get the Marlins in the run column against Nola. One-two pitch. Grounded to short. Cabrera with the play to first. There was that ground ball that you mentioned he is prone to, but hit softly enough that they can't double him up. And it's 2nd and 3rd, 2 outs. So here's Starlin Castro. A walk in the 1st, a strikeout in the 3rd. The only strikeout victim today thus far for Nola.
Chased an elevated 92-mile-an-hour fastball atop the zone. I think Starlin was thinking more curveball and tried to foul it off, but missed. Walk his first time up.
Grounded left side. Cabrera with it. And the Marlins leave a couple on base in the 5th. Halfway home, scoreless. inning. All weekend long, they've been celebrating Philadelphia Phillies alumni, and today specifically the 2008 World Series champions, the Florida Lottery in-game jackpot. Well, who's still playing? Cole Hamels, now of the Chicago Cubs, Jay Happ with the Yankees, Ryan Madson's in D.C., and Chase Utley with the Los Angeles Dodgers. Greg Dobbs. Dobbs pitched. Did he win the wiffle ball tournament?
He did. He was with Carlos Ruiz. Go figure.
Yeah, well, there you go.
Carlos could run for mayor around here. You didn't pick that up this weekend, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Standing ovation literally every time he was mentioned, and then, which I thought was so impressive, and of course I had a hard time maybe pegging the value there, and certainly know how important he was to the championship team, but all the Phillies players who came up and spoke about that year, in some way kind of worked it all the way back to Chooch, all the way back to Ruiz. And I kept thinking, boy, oh boy, this man, he was in control of that clubhouse.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, listen, that's why there are so many catchers that turn into managers. And we talk about this a lot, guys that have to be able to manage a pitching staff, but also a position player in on both meetings. And you just have that connection with the entire club that, you know, maybe a shortstop or a left fielder may not have. Ball one to Odubel Herrera, then Mikel Franco and Jorge Alfaro. Phillies have one hit through the first 4 innings against Dan Straley.
And I think even a lot of what we've seen through the 4 innings from the Philadelphia Phillies lineup speaks to how good Dan Straley has been and unpredictable. You see a lot of takes. We mentioned it at the beginning of the 4-game series. I brought it up early. Of course, the Phillies, well, they hit a few home runs and those storylines kind of get away. Straley ramps up at 91. The Philadelphia Phillies, a pretty good fastball hitting team, but they actually strike out. Well, they do strike out a lot, but they struggle against secondary pitches. That's the one part of their game offensively that is not near the top of the league. I mentioned it with Richards. They struggle with the changeup. Not particularly high on the curveball either. My theory on that would be a number of these Philadelphia Philly hitters have high leg kicks. Pitchers try to go to that changeup, throw off the timing. Herrera, one of them.
Out to center field for Sierra, and a few steps, and now back for the first out in the 5th inning. Speaking of leg kicks, I mean, now you see guys who just completely revamp their swings, and sometimes they'll either go to a leg kick or completely away from the leg kick. How much did you change from, let's just say, high school through professional, minor leagues, and then into rookie year, and then like 5 years? Like, did you change a lot, or did you just adjust a little here and there, whether you're hot or cold?
I changed a lot, but I also, I have to, mention that, I was being raised in a generation that we didn't look at the strikeouts. It wasn't okay to strike out. It really was not. I mean, you struck out 150 times. You weren't moving on to the next level, even if you had great numbers to go along with it. Talking about the secondary stuff, they frowned on strikeouts, and the idea was that you need more contact. And so most of us, almost all of us, I think, generationally speaking, we pride ourselves on shortening our swings. And you get to the highest level here at the major league level, you're dealing with tremendous velocity, obviously lots of late movement. The idea was always to allow the ball to travel as much as you possibly could so you could see it the longest. Well, you couldn't have a big free swing in which you were going to let it all hang out, on every one, because basically what your timing is, what you believe is coming. Many of us were taught, myself included, to shorten that swing up and understand how to make more contact or come up with better barrel contact, even if it meant choking up a little bit.
Franco with a fly ball into the sun. Shielding his eyes is Castro, who will make the play in shallow right field.
Well, that was textbook by Starlin Castro. Glasses on all the time. Nice job using his offhand, put it right in line with the sun. Didn't need to use his glove, because a lot of times you do that and the ball doesn't come back out. You take your offhand, and if you can put it in place of the sun, you still got your glove and you got the ability to move around a little bit. Yeah, see right there, he uses that offhand and does a nice job of shielding it, and then he's waiting till the very last second to see if that ball will come back out, make a catch.
It's also nice to see him wearing the sunglasses. How often do we see a guy lose the ball in the sun and he's got the sunglasses up on the lid?
That used to be a fine back in the day for us. I mean, like, you dropped the fly ball, boy, you were getting a maximum fine if those sunglasses were on your hat. We've talked about how good Dan Straley has been this afternoon. Now 80 pitches, you saw the swing there. 49 of the 79 pitches have actually been taken by the Philadelphia Phillies today. And certainly a degree of uncertainty. 14 called strikes.
Oh, and 2 to Jorge Alfaro.
You see how I brought up all the taking for the Philadelphia Phillies with Alfaro in the box?
Absolutely.
No, you didn't.
Well, the antithesis of the take.
Well, I knew that Alfaro, he's not gonna take for us. He's gonna swing. Watch, I'm telling you, it's coming.
Six strikeouts this afternoon for Dan Straley. 1-2 pitch to Alfaro. Right field line and into the seats. He'll see another. And that got Alfaro. Well, he has had a rough series. A couple of foul tips off the legs. Now a hit by pitch. This was the second game of this 4-game series. Couple of hits to left center field, but then on the opposite side of things, oh, right there off the right calf. Took another one later.
Well, thankfully, the one that just got him 83 miles an hour. Not that it doesn't hurt, just hurts a little less.
It's not as much ice. Did you happen to see, and I know the answer because I showed it to you, but for TV purposes, I'm making it.
You're turning it into a question?
Absolutely, yeah. Carlos Gomez yesterday hit by a pitch. He gets hit by a pitch. He like walks toward first base and then falls right over. Timber. 7th strikeout of the afternoon for Straley to match a season high. Scoreless through 5. inning, Aaron Nola has 1 strikeout, Dan Straley 7, and everything is working today.
You know, Dan Straley has been all about it. You've seen the changeup, you've seen the slider there, the elevated fastball, fantastic. You've got these Philadelphia Phillies right now frustrated. They do not have something to sit on against Dan Straley right now. There's really nothing to play off of because he has used his arsenal so well.
Well, it's been a terrific bounce back from Straley tonight, or today rather, after the 3 2/3 that he had against the Atlanta Braves his last time out. It was actually, I mean, arguably his worst start of the season in many respects. Season highs in hits allowed with 11, runs 8, 5 of them were earned. But today, 7 strikeouts against a rather hot Phillies lineup who was looking for a 4-game sweep, and they've got their ace on the mound. T-Mobile, built for baseball. Jose Ramirez, a 3-run home run to right field. That is number 33. He's up over 80 RBIs and has put himself in that MVP discussion again for the Cleveland Indians.
5'9", I believe. Just a little bit bigger than Altuve.
Wow. You know, that is the really one of the good things about baseball as opposed to the other sports. Like,
you don't have to be 7 foot to play in the NBA.
Spud Webb, okay, there's one, but there are, you know, they're not everywhere. Well, but you could be any size, any shape, and be good at this game.
Oh well, I tell you what, he was vertically challenged is the right phrase, but the idea that you can be a superstar in our sport, not just you know, surviving.
Two balls and no strikes to Justin Bohr. Fouls it back, 2-1. Well, Straley with 7 strikeouts to match a season high, 4th time that he's gotten to that number this year. For Nola, this is a guy who, coming into today, 142 strikeouts in 142 innings. He's got just 1 strikeout today. Marlins doing a terrific job putting the bat on the ball.
Well, they certainly have frustrated him. We talked about the expanded zone. It's been there this afternoon. No, not really. I mean, other than the zeros on the scoreboard, I know you're kind of getting at the strikeouts. Really not able to take full advantage of it.
Three balls and 2 strikes to Bohr. It's the 2nd strikeout of the day.
It's easy to beat the heat when you become an energy-saving expert. Go to FPL.com/beattheheat.
One away now for Martin Prado. Prado 0 for 2 today, has hits in 7 of his last 11 games. 8 multi-hit outings in his last 18 starts. Takes a strike. Also came into the day 6 for 15 against Aaron Nola in his career. Fights this one off, and that is going to fall in for a base hit into right field.
Good piece of hitting by Martin Prado. Sinker in, stays inside the baseball. That's how you elevate. Gets out in front. Ball is probably on the ground. Able to dump it into right field. The Marlins have had a few runners on. They've got hits in 5 of their 6 innings. Of course, that's it. Just 1 hit in 5 of those innings.
Breaking ball moves Rojas off the plate, but in there for a called strike. Rojas made a bid for a hit back in the second inning. A line drive into left field, but a sliding catch by Rhys Hoskins to take away a hit. Rojas with his 8th homer of the season last night. Nola made it to his first All-Star game this year, the first Philly starting pitcher to go to an All-Star team since Cliff Lee in 2013, and you are seeing why today. In the dirt, 1-2. In fact, the youngest Philly starting pitcher to be an All-Star since Cole Hamels, who was 23 years old in 2007. Cole Hamels, Chase Utley, a number of others providing some video messages today as the Phillies celebrate the 10-year anniversary of their 2018 World Series championship team. Teheran Guerrero up in the Marlins pen as Rojas waits for a 1-2. This one out to right field for Williams. And back to first is Prado, 2 away.
Bring up Sierra, 0-2 this afternoon. Ground ball to short, pop up to short.
And right back to Nola, but it goes through the wickets. It's almost like he had too much time to think about that one.
Oh my. This ball's not hit hard. Slow roller back to the mound. It's really just tapped.
It's almost like he got caught in between.
You're right. You know, like maybe a little bit more effort. You know, you come get that big hop, and I think because he felt like the ball wasn't hit particularly hard, he could wait back on it. And he did just that. It's going to cost him.
An E1 sets up first and second, and 2 outs here in the 6th inning. Brian Holiday with a base hit back in the 2nd. JT Riddle has moved into the on-deck circle. Dan Straley due up next. And Holiday to third. Franco gets to it on the line, makes the long throw. And how about Maikel Franco's defense this weekend, helping out Nola, who's through 6.
from Ashburn Alley to right outside the main concourse, where you can also find statues of numbers that have been retired and replicas of the Phillies World Series trophies. When it comes to the Wall of Fame, there are a total of 40 inductees. Roy Halladay and Pat Gillick were added yesterday.
Jessica, thanks a lot. Yeah, terrific stuff. Of course, great history here in Philadelphia Phillies baseball. Geico presents This Day in Marlins history, August 5th, 1986. Steve Carlton, while pitching for the Giants, his 4,000th strikeout. Okay, the 4,000 strikeout club. Nolan Ryan, the only one in the 5,000 strikeout club. Randy Johnson, Roger Clemens, and Steve Carlton, whose name, number, face, statue, all sorts of Carlton stuff on display here at Citizens Bank Park. As we move to the bottom of the 6th inning, Cesar Hernandez, the leadoff man for the Phils, both in the game and in the 6th, takes ball 1.
Yeah, growing up watching Lefty, I'll tell you, he's remembered around here. I can't remember what season it was, but it was the year in which he won 27 games. I believe they lost 54 or 59 as a team. I mean, he literally won like half of their starts that season. I mean, he was that dominant. And lefty, boy, oh boy, he had a slider that righties or lefties, they couldn't touch it.
Yeah, we talk so much now about, you know, are we ever going to see that 300-game winner again? Are we going to see a 250-game winner again?
It's a good question.
How about 4,000 strikeouts?
Wow.
Like, even though strikeouts are up in the game now, nobody's getting the innings for that.
Well, and we may have to talk about in terms of strikeout ratio, number of strikeouts per 5 innings as opposed to 9.
Yeah, it is it's a different brand of baseball now. And again, celebrating the life of Roy Halladay yesterday, who went on the Wall of Fame with Pat Gillick last night. 67 complete games he threw in his career. Now that's not like the days of Cy Young. That's 5 years ago, 6 years ago.
Leadoff walk to start the 6th. I'll tell you what, it's been a very emotional weekend. I don't know about you, but for me, I mean, I grew up here and certainly understand, this fan base a little bit. They love their Phillies. That's one thing that you learn. And, I kind of pointed this out last night, and today they acknowledged the championship team. There wasn't an empty seat 2 hours before game time. 2 hours, almost 2 hours before game time, you looked out here, and I mean, it was a packed house. It was absolutely so impressive to see. I mean, this city has embraced the Phillies since they've been here, which is basically forever. And the players respond. I mean, you feel that in your fan base. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, and again, the Phillies had won a World Series in 1980, and then the 76ers, I believe, won in 1983, but then nothing in this city. Eagles or Phillies or Flyers. Eagles up until the Phillies won in 2008. You think of those teams that have, they put an end to those droughts, whether it was, all the success the Yankees have had. That 96 team has a special place in people's hearts. For the Red Sox, it's that 04 team that has a special place. If the Cubs, let's just say the Cubs win again in the next couple of years, the one a few years ago, they're all special. But the one that ends the drought, sort of for that next generation, is usually the one that means an awful lot. The 2010 Giants team, one of those.
A big weekend here in Philadelphia. They've celebrated their history about as well as anybody I've seen celebrate history in the game of baseball.
And just walking around the city, I saw, the late Darren Dalton had somebody's wearing a Dalton jersey walking around too. I mean,
I asked you yesterday, I said, of the 35,000 people come here, like, I don't know, 85% are wearing Philly memorabilia, like a T-shirt from somebody. And of course, you're gonna run into some old ones. But the point is that, like, you're going to the Phillies game today. Okay, where's my Phillies shirt? I need to put it on. Like, I'm going to the game.
Ball and a strike to Hoskins. Pitch there by Straley. Right on the inside corner, 1-2.
It's a Sunday afternoon in early August, and I know the Phillies have visions of doing more this year, making the playoffs and hoping to have a run. It's a sea of red today. I mean, Adam Conley up for the Marlins.
Australia approaching 100 pitches in the dirt, smothered by Holiday. Hernandez will run. He is 14 for 16 in stolen base attempts this season. Stays put on the 2-2 pitch as Hoskins sends one in the air to deep left field. Dietrich is on the track and he makes the catch. Hernandez thinking about it, but just draws the throw. One out.
Well, nice job by Dietrich. Gets himself into position to get some momentum going back towards the infield. Hernandez had run back to first to tag and was probably going to test him. Dietrich, a one-hop throw right to the second base bag. Well done. And not always easy to do. A lot of times the high fly ball is the hardest one to get behind because you end up holding your momentum while the ball is coming down out of the sky for an extended period of time. He did a nice job there. Something going back into that throw.
1 on 1 out for Nick Williams. Lined out and struck out today. Here we are, third time through the order. As Walt Hernandez got Hoskins to fly out. Now Williams, but Holly mentioned the numbers before. 296 the first time through, 273 the second time through, all the way down to 125 batting average against, third time through the order.
Australia has been sharp. He's been able to make every big pitch this afternoon when need be. A couple of runners on, able to get a ground ball, able to get that strikeout. He's been predictably unpredictable. Next pitch will be 100 on the afternoon.
Two and one to Williams.
Now that was a big pitch. He went with a 2-0 breaking ball there, and Williams expanded his zone, went after it. That door open for Straley. Back into the count.
He's allowed only one hit, and Alfaro single in the third. No Philly has gotten past first base today. 3-1.
And certainly paying attention. Hernandez at first. You mentioned the stolen bases. 87.5% success rate when he goes. He picks his spots. He's not just a free runner. Tries to go when he knows the percentages favor him the most. You may see him wait one more pitch.
Arguably the Marlins' biggest weapon when it comes to preventing base stealers behind the plate, Brian Holiday. Hernandez will get a head start. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Well, may not get a head start. There's only 1 out. My mistake. I got a head start there.
You were anticipating.
It was.
Well, I was kind of leading.
You said it's all your fault.
Well,
you said
I definitely led you there because I think he is running. I think he's running right here. I think this is a key spot for them to try to send him and get him in motion. They trust Williams a little bit more with the bat. You see him go. I'd be shocked if he wasn't.
Did not. And Williams, free pass. Holiday out to talk with Straley. And Don Mattingly has made his way out of the Marlins dugout to talk with the home plate umpire Larry Vanover and make a double switch. Five walks today for Straley, but just 1 hit allowed. Looks like Isaac Galloway heading out to center field. Sierra out of the game. And it will be Adam Conley, the lefty. The Florida Lottery call to the bullpen. A couple switch hitters coming up for the Phillies in the 6th. Jackpot scratch-offs from the Florida Lottery are a new spin on a classic. They're loaded with prizes from $10,000 to $2 million. So unleash the excitement anytime. The Florida Lottery, it's your ticket. Must be 18 or older to play. Play responsibly. Conley out of the bullpen. The other part of the double switch. Isaac Galloway into center field. He will move into the number 9 spot in the Marlins order and lead off the 7th inning. Adam Conley slots into number 7. More importantly now, he pitches with a couple of men on.
Yeah, Adam Conley's doing a fantastic job this season. He stranded 9, 12 inherited runners this season. Lefty's hitting 171, righty's 146. 22 of his 26 appearances this season have been scoreless. Well, that's a big spot in this ball game. Philadelphia Phillies looking for some momentum in the middle of their lineup, and Conley the right man for the job. He's walked into many of these situations and has come through.
So it'll be Carlos Santana with Cesar Hernandez, who walked to lead off the inning at second, and Nick Williams, who walked a moment ago, Straley's last batter. He is over at first. Santana takes low. 1-0. That one misses as well. 2-0 to Carlos Santana, who struck out in the second and walked in the fourth. Just 2 prior meetings between Conley and Santana. And Santana 0 for 2. But in the driver's seat here, up 2-0. Ooh, that one missed low, says the home plate umpire Larry Vanover, and now it's 3-0. And Santana walks to load the bases.
The Philadelphia Phillies this afternoon have not been able to find the long ball, but they have found the walk. We talk about how they do business at home. A lot of times it's one or the other. 3 walks this inning have set the table. Here in the 6th, there's Dribble Cabrera.
Six strikes of the 20 pitches this inning from either Straley or Conley. Loaded with 1 out. Hernandez, Williams, Santana third to first. The pitch to Cabrera is in there for a called strike. Caught on and missed. 95 miles an hour beats Cabrera, and it's 0-2. Cabrera 5 for 17 with a double, 2 walks and 3 strikeouts in his career against Conley. Conley needs this out right here in a game that has not seen a run yet. Lifted, foul territory. Bohr is there for a big second out.
Well, nice job by Conley. Marlins boxed in. Phillies runners on every base, no place to go. Next best thing to a strikeout. How about that pop-up? Well done.
It won't get any easier for Conley against Odubel Herrera, who is hitting .385 in his career against Conley. Adam was able to get Cabrera, who had good numbers off of him, and now the test is the center fielder, who swings and misses.
Well, Conley's had that going, particularly against the lefties of late. They got a little bit higher batting average against, but of late he's been shutting them down. And here's the real reason why: that slider's actually starting to play. Conley throws so hard, 94 to 96, that most lefties have to cheat a little bit to kind of get the barrel there. Thinking about starting that swing early. Well, what does that do? It puts you in a position, or I should say a position of vulnerability to that slider. That's just it. You've seen 2 sliders, and Herrera's ready to swing the bat. My goodness, he is swinging fastball and getting slider right now, and expect a third.
Conley's gotten so many big outs this season in this role that he has been able to blossom in this year. That one rocketed into the seats.
I'll tell you what we've seen from Herrera so far through 3 pitches is that he'll swing at anything. Conley's best attack is to stay way far out of that strike zone. He's chased a changeup. The only reason that ball went so far foul is that it was about 6 inches inside. And he was ready to swing. Much better numbers against lefties this season, 297.
Here it comes. Cesar Hernandez led off the inning with a walk. He is on third. Nick Williams, a 1-out walk, is on at second. That was the last batter that Straley faced. And Carlos Santana, the first batter Conley faced, on via the walk at first. 1 ball, 2 strikes from Conley to Herrera. Grounded into left field for a base hit. Hernandez will score. Williams in behind him. And Odubel Herrera gives the Phillies a 2-0 lead in the 6th inning.
Now Herrera finally got the fastball that he was looking for after flailing at a couple of sliders and chasing an elevated changeup way in. Got the fastball up. Watch the swing. Beats him a little bit, but enough. Up in the zone to bang it through the left side and put the Philadelphia Phillies on the scoreboard. Their second hit of the afternoon produces 2 runs. Both those runs will be charged to Dan Straley.
Yeah, you remember the outing in Washington where Conley had a rough go finding the strike zone as Franco fouls it back. Gave up 3 hits and 3 runs in that outing, but in the 4 outings since, no hits prior to that base hit off the bat of Herrera. And the line is complete on Straley. 5 1/3, 1 hit, 2 runs, 5 walks, and 7 strikeouts. Franco a strikeout and a pop-up today. Waiting for the 0-1. Now 0-2. Hitting .272 on the season, hitting 20 points higher entering the day against the National League East this year. Maikel Franco, a .292 hitter against the other teams in his division. And a base hit through the left side. Coming around to score is Santana. And it's 3-0 Philadelphia. All 3 Marlins walks in the inning have come around to score.
Well, the part of the lineup that had cooled off going all the way back to game 1 of this series on Thursday starting to heat back up again. Back hits now. Well, Franco gets something he likes. He too bangs it through the left side. The Philadelphia Phillies are adding on here in the 6th.
And out to the mound, Juan Nieves. Well, again, this is where you sit and you make notes in your scorecard if you're you or I, Holly, because you're going to sit there and, again, however this game plays out, but you're going to look at the lines and you're going to say, well, you know, Conley wasn't that great, but Straley was fantastic. He had 1 hit against this team that had been pounding hits left and right through this series.
Dan Straley did a fantastic job today, done in by a couple of walks here in the 6th. You look look at the Philadelphia Phillies and who they are offensively, and I have to admit, part of me is not surprised. At some point, the walks play. What have we seen? We've seen in this series, and again, maybe that's how you kind of judge it. We told you at the beginning of the series coming in today, 76 home runs at home, second in the National League. Well, beginning of the series, they were right around 200 walks, which is top 5 in the National League. Strikeouts, oh, by the way, upwards of 500, which is top 5 in the National League as well. And what have we seen today? I mean, yesterday was all about the home runs, 4 of them, producing 8 runs. Today, it's the walks, leading to a couple of base hits that have produced their 3 runs.
Cut on and missed by Alfaro. Well, Scott Kingery has moved into the on-deck circle. It's been a lengthy half inning for Aaron Nola, who is currently at 89 pitches. Took a while for the Phillies to get him some run support. Saw Sir Anthony Dominguez standing and beginning to loosen in the Phillies bullpen. Typically their closer, but they'll sometimes use him in the high leverage situations too, even if it's not the 25th, 6th, and 7th outs of the game. Oh, and 1 to Alfaro, and lined and caught by Prado. Took it off the dirt for the final out of the 6th, but the Phillies score 3 runs and lead it after 6. Jason Worth riding with the Philly fanatic. It's been a fun weekend for the Phillies here, celebrating their certainly their history in the 2008 championship team. The Wall of Fame inductions yesterday, the late Roy Halladay and Pat Gillick. Today they had most of, if not all, of the 2008 World Series championship team in-house. Today they've got Aaron Nola on the mound, and he now has a 3-0 lead after the Phillies pushed 3 runs across.
Isn't it interesting, right? Here we are in the 7th inning. Nola's still out there at 89 pitches. I was thinking after the 1st inning, maybe today's the day, right? And here he is.
Excuse me, swing off the glove. Galloway is going to reach. Well, see how they score that one. They're going to give Galloway an infield single, of which he now has 2.
You're absolutely right. I'll tell you what, for the Philadelphia Phillies, Aaron Nola hasn't shown too many chinks in the armor, but maybe hitting the ball back to the mound is the way to go. A second play that probably should have made.
Or if not, make it. If it gets by him, Hernandez might have an easier play on it. But either way, Marlins aren't going to give it back. One on to lead off the 7th. Top of the order now for Derek Dietrich.
Dietrich a base hit his last time up. Nice at bat. Got a curveball and ripped it into right.
And now Dietrich to right field, and that one is gone. A line drive home run for Derek Dietrich. A 2-run shot off of Nola, and this is a 1-run game.
Well, Double D, boy oh boy, does he go down and get a changeup. My goodness. You mentioned the other base hit on a breaking ball. Watch Nola, you can see the action. That stays up a little bit more than he likes. Dietrich keeps those hands back. You can almost see it with his body, that little delay and then that little hold as he unloads. Great swing, home run number 14. We have a new ball game.
Now, it took until the 7th inning for the Marlins to get their leadoff man on, but he comes around to score. And Gabe Kapler is out to lift Nola. An infield single for Galloway, a 2-run home run for Dietrich. And the Phillies are going to make a double switch here in the 7th inning. Well, it's been a tight ball game all day long. No score until the bottom of the 6th. Is now a 1-run game in the 7th. The Florida Lottery called to the bullpen here at Citizens Bank Park.
Drive on Saturday, August 11th. Help support a great cause by donating new and unopened school supplies. And to make a donation, will receive 2 ticket vouchers to a Marlins game this season. Drop off all donations at home plate and first base entrances from the time the game opens to the first pitch.
Double switch for the Phillies. Roman Quinn is into center field. And Sir Anthony Dominguez in out of the pen. Anderson fights it off, but that will fall foul down the right field line.
Well, Dominguez has been good. 39 innings, 49 strikeouts. He throws hard. 98, 99 miles an hour on the four-seam fastball. Slider checks in at 89.
Oh, 2 to Anderson. Cut on and missed for the first out here in the 7th.
He's only allowed 18 hits in the 39 innings of work.
Well, he's converted 12 of his last 13 save opportunities. If he finished the game, this would be, but again, using him in a high leverage situation, a 1-run game with coming into face 2, 3, and 4 for the Marlins. But no matter what inning he has come in, he has been terrific. No runs allowed in 10 of his last 11 appearances.
Well, basically no margin here. 1-run lead for the Phillies. The 2-run home run by Derek Dietrich here in the 7th.
Benefit of the call there. 2 down.
Now this is the one side of the plate that we have seen some leeway. This one looks in to me. Did not catch the corner. Starlin Castro certainly thinks that as well.
Back-to-back strikeouts. Teheran Guerrero still up for the Marlins. And at least 1 strikeout in 30 of the 35 appearances for Dominguez. He misses low to Bohr. Bohr looking for his first hit today. A line drive home run for Derek Dietrich. And now a fly ball out to center field sends Quinn back to the wall, and that one is gone. A game-tying solo home run to straightaway center field for Justin Bohr. His last 3 hits have been homers, and we're tied.
The 19th home run of the season for JB. This slider down in the zone. Boy, oh boy, he's been on time this series. 3rd of the series. Great swing. 2nd time to center field. How about this extension? Yes, sirree. That's not the fastball. That is a backup slider. He goes and gets it. We're starting to fly out of Citizens Bank Ballpark. The Marlins have homered their way back into this game.
One more look at the effort by Quinn. I believe it was Herrera this year that took one out of maybe that very same bush.
I'll tell you what, Quinn broke in, and that kind of was a tell for me in the way the ball is starting to carry. Quinn thought that ball was going to be at least where he was playing or in. A step or 2 in, and then they race back to the wall. It still had plenty of distance on it, didn't it?
Certainly did. Second time this series that Bohr has gone right toward the batter's eye. His other allowed home run to right center field. Prado could not hold up. They're frustrated, but the Marlins get 3 in the inning. 2-run homer by Dietrich and a solo shot by Bohr.
A chance to win an all-inclusive stay in Nassau in the Bahamas on Labor Day weekend for the Southwest Airlines Summer Days Getaway. Just tweet hashtag Southwest Summer Days Sweeps and hashtag sponsored to @Fox Sports FL for your chance to win.
Justin Bour with a game-tying home run moments after Derek Dietrich's 2-run home run got the Marlins on the board. So here we are back to even as we go to the last of the 7th inning. As Teheran Guerrero comes in to pitch his 44th game this season. He'll face Quinn, and then the top of the order, Cesar Hernandez and Rhys Hoskins. Time for the Coors Light refreshing finish. Derek Dietrich with a line drive home run. That got the Marlins on the board first. And then a little while later, Justin Bour goes down and gets that one straight away center field to even up the ball game. 104.9 off the bat for Dietrich, 101.7 off the bat for Bour. So it is Guerrero. Again, he'll face Quinn, who came in as part of the double switch. And for Guerrero, we've talked about the high leverage situation for Seranthony Dominguez, who, by the way, did strike out the 3 batters that he retired in that inning. He struck out Anderson, Castro, and Prado. But the Bour home run has evened things up. Marlins trying to get out of Philadelphia with a win, trying to snap this 5-game skid. Team that has won only 3 times in its last 12 games, showing some fight in the 7th inning against the first place Phillies. Here is Quinn to lead it off. Prado plays a step onto the grass over at third, protecting against the bunt. Quinn looks to bunt but pulls it back. Well, that home run that Bour hit, mentioned the fact that Dominguez hadn't given up a run in 10 of his last 11 appearances, only the 2nd home run that he has allowed all year.
Guerrero, 4-seam fastball, slider, and change. Doesn't throw too many changeups. Slider about 20% of the time. That fastball sitting at 98, 99 miles an hour.
The 1-1 pitch to Quinn, swung on and missed. 97 miles an hour up under the hands. 1-2. Makes him move his feet. These two have not faced off yet, Quinn and Guerrero. Two balls and 2 strikes. A souvenir back behind the dugout. Here comes, and another foul ball. Saw Guerrero pitch a couple of nights ago. Faced Santana. Got Franco to ground into a double play. He worked a scoreless 6th inning. On a hop to Castro. Tough one. But he's able to hang with it and retire Quinn for the first out. Right in between, taking a step in to charge that one, get it in the air, or hang back. Castro able to make the play. Back to the top of the order. Cesar Hernandez.
It was his walk in the 6th inning that got everything going. Two walks this afternoon, struck out his first at bat.
Well, that one missed. Ball and a strike. Well, it should come as no surprise that Hernandez has been on base a couple of times today. Among all major league second basemen, first in walks and times that he has been on base this year. Entered the day 2nd in on base percentage, 3rd in runs scored. He's been on base twice and scored one of the 3 Phillies runs today. Marlins outfielders don't expect Hernandez to get around on a Guerrero fastball. They've got Anderson, maybe shaded a step or 2 toward right center field. Galloway a couple of steps toward left center field. And Dietrich barely in your picture. Outside, 2-2.
We saw Brian Holiday really hoping to get Guerrero in the slider at the back foot. Hernandez unable to get it there. Let's try it one more time.
Rhys Hoskins is next. 3rd outing off the disabled list for Guerrero. On the ground, and it's Bohr to make the play. Gets it to Guerrero, who applies the tag on Hernandez. He knew he wasn't going to beat him to the bag, but those long arms of Guerrero able to stretch it out and make the play on Hernandez for out number 2.
Yeah, the long arm of the law gets him. That's right. Yeah, a little late in covering, but he makes up the ground. No, not with his legs, but with his arms. That's right. Hernandez by him already. Nice play by JB. Good toss to Guerrero and able to get him on the backside as he about 1 step away from first base.
Well, a nice play on both ends by Bohr. Because with the speed of Hernandez, that's easily 2 bases.
Well, there aren't too many players in the ballpark today, but even considered that, because their arms, I can promise you, aren't as long as Guerrero's.
You're right.
They would have tried to beat him with their feet.
Well, if ever there was a time to slide into first base.
Right. Yeah, maybe that might have been it. Well, he probably thought the coast was clear.
1-0 on the way to Hoskins. 101 misses inside. Hoskins 3 fly balls today. A pop up to the left side of the infield, and then just Sierra in center and Dietrich in left. Dietrich, by the way, is about a foot in front of the track. Prado plays right on the line at third as well. 3 men on the left side of the infield for the Marlins as Hoskins doesn't bite. 3-1.
Yeah, certainly pitching him very carefully. 8 home runs over his last 14 games. Riding a career high 21 consecutive on base streak.
3-1 pitch on the way is in there for a called strike. Guerrero delivers the payoff pitch, and this one sent in the air. Right field. Anderson waves off Galloway and makes the catch on the edge of the track. Through 7. We're tied at 3. We check in with the studio after the break. Out of Philly with a victory, salvaged the last game of this 4-game set, down 3-0 after 3 walks all came around to score in the home half of the 6th. Marlins fight back. 2 home runs, a 2-run shot by Dietrich, a solo home run to tie it by Bohr, and now Pat Neshek into the ball game. 3rd pitcher of the afternoon for the Philadelphia Phillies. He'll face Miguel Rojas to lead things off. JT Riddle in the on-deck circle, and then Brian Holiday.
Neshek has done a nice job. He's being activated. Just over 10 innings. 0.87 ERA. Sinker slider. We saw him earlier this series.
It is amazing that delivery that he has got. He doesn't take a leg kick. He takes the one step back, and then all the momentum's moving forward. Keeps everything kind of low, like a cat, like a low center of gravity almost. Rojas on the ground. Cabrera for the first out. This will be JT Riddle to pinch hit in what has become the pitcher's spot after a double switch. Riddle 0 for 3 in last night's ball game. A couple of hits and an RBI on the trip. Big swing and a miss. Steckenrider loosening in the Marlins bullpen. Well, there was some people wondering whether or not Bearclaw would have lost the closer's role after allowing the walk-off home run on Thursday night. But Don Mattingly giving a vote of confidence to Bearclaw. Again, at the moment it's 3-3, but I figure if it's a save situation, it may be Bearclaw today. Again, Riddle to the left side into the seats. Still 1-2.
JT really trying to stay inside the baseball, go to the middle of the field the other way.
Riddle 0 for 2 with a couple of strikeouts in his career against Neshek. Sends home a 1-2, and it's fought off again. Two of the 3 runs charged to Nola. This one is on a couple of hops to Cabrera. Riddle is retired for the second out. That'll bring up Brian Holiday. Of course, the home run by Dominguez, but entering play today, the Philadelphia Phillies bullpen. Major League best 2.47 ERA since July 1st. Again, coming into today, a 198 batting average against, which is 3rd in baseball in that span. But Bohr got to Dominguez on the solo home run to dead center field to tie it up. Now the Marlins look to find a way to take the lead late in the ball game. Holiday down to the count 0-1. Holiday a base hit in his first trip back in the 2nd inning. Couple of ground outs since. Robbed of extra bases by Maikel Franco, who has put on a defensive display this series. Misses upstairs. Count even. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Cut on and missed as Neshek works a 1-2-3 8th inning. Home half coming up. And Steckenrider in. Game homestand. Going to have the Cardinals in town Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Off day Thursday. And then the Mets over the weekend. Cardinals right now locked up in a 2-1 ball game in the bottom of the 9th inning in Pittsburgh. Meanwhile, the New York Mets are hosting and have lost in 10 innings to the Atlanta Braves. Tomorrow it is Luke Weaver and Wei-Yin Chen. The 5.86 ERA, all-encompassing, but if you've watched any games thus far, you know that at home he is a Cy Young winner.
Well, he certainly is. I'll back you up on that one. How about a 2.18 at Marlins Park? That's 4th best in the National League.
But here in Philadelphia, it is Drew Steckenrider, whose first pitch to Nick Williams is grounded foul.
Well, it should be a fun series. It turned into meaningful games for the St. Louis Cardinals. Trying to push back into the race.
Well, the Cardinals have a bit of a different look, too, than the last time we saw them in St. Louis. No more Tommy Pham. They're giving some youngsters a chance to play in the outfield, as Nick Williams sends one to the outfield. A leadoff base hit here in the 8th.
Watch every out-of-market regular season game live or on demand, at home, in the office, or on the go with MLB.tv. Subscription includes MLB at Bat Premium, allowing you to watch live baseball on your favorite supported devices. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.tv for details.
Williams on at first, and in steps Carlos Santana. .94 miles an hour, top of the zone, fouled back to the screen. 0-1 today for Santana. A strikeout and 2 walks. He came around to score the Phillies' 3rd run in the 3-run 6th inning.
We should not be surprised that Santana is swinging away. He's certainly not giving up his at bat. One sacrifice in his entire career. Short lead for Williams at first.
Marlins in the 9th will have 9, 1, and 2. Galloway, Dietrich, and Anderson. It's the same trio that got it started for the Marlins in the top of the 7th. Steckenrider's 0-2 pitch. Yeah, kind of glossed over the score, as we mentioned. The Mets on the backside of that homestand. A 5-4 defeat today at the hands of the Atlanta Braves. Nick Markakis with a home run in the top of the 10th inning. His 13th of the season to give the Braves a 5-4 lead. Ultimately a 5-4 win, as Santana flies one out to left. It is Dietrich. As Drupal Cabrera strikeout in the 2nd inning, grounded into a double play to end the 4th. Popped up in foul territory in the 6th. Pitcher spot due up next. Andrew Knapp in the on-deck circle. But the focus on Cabrera, who takes the ball inside. Two and 0. There's one at-bat worth of history between these two. Cabrera 0 for 1. Until that, a long home run into the second deck. The Phillies have a 5-3 lead.
th home run of the season for Cabrera. I'll tell you what, that's making amends if there ever was a time. We go back to the 6th inning. He came up with the bases loaded. He popped up. Philadelphia Phillies fans gave it to him. Boy, oh boy, he picks on an elevated pitch. My goodness. It's all of it up into the second deck. There's now back-to-back games for Cabrera. After the last 2 at-bats, Phillies faithful, boy, they were a little frustrated with Cabrera. He certainly fixed that with 1 swing.
He was 3 for 23 before last night when he was 2 for 4, including a 2-run home run. Today, another 2-run home run. Two balls and no strikes to Andrew Knapp, pinch hitting here.
Steck hung a slider at the top of the zone.
Knapp not happy with the call as Tommy Hunter loosens. The Marlins have 9, 1, and 2 due up in the 9th inning. Saw last night Knapp got the start for the Phillies. Couple of hits for him last night. But here he comes up empty for the second out in the 8th, and first strikeout today by Steckenrider. Maikel Franco with a RBI single back in the 6th inning. One pitch misses outside to Maikel Franco. Again, the RBI single last time up. Leading the major leagues in RBIs against the Marlins since the start of last year. The one earlier today, his 30th since the beginning of 2017. A 2-run home run by Asdrubal Cabrera has given the Phillies a 5-3 lead here in the bottom of the 8th inning. Ground ball, and that one is up the middle. Another base hit for Franco. And with 1 on and 2 out, that'll bring up Jorge Alfaro.
Well, 3rd hit of the inning for the Philadelphia Phillies.
Swung on and missed by Alfaro, who had a base hit in the 1st inning. Part of that strange double play on the Nola strikeout, and then he was picked off first base. He was hit by a pitch in the 5th and lined out to Prado to end the 6th. Mentioned the score of the Braves game today. They started a game and a half back of the Phillies in the National League East. So the Phillies, assuming that they know what's going on in Queens today, need a win to keep pace and keep that distance between them and the Braves. Swung on and missed. Chased. Wow. Chased 95 upstairs, frustrated with himself, breaks the bat over his knee. Much like Alfaro's bat, we take a break. Low fares, nothing to hide. By Lincoln. Join the Lincoln Summer Invitation Sales Event by your South Florida Honda dealers. Chicky and Pete's crab fries here at Citizens Bank Park. I have not tried those yet. We're back in September, though. Out there in right field. I think I know what I got to do on when we come back in September. Have some Chicky and Pete's. Scott Kingery into the ball game. He takes over at shortstop for Asdrubal Cabrera, who has a 2-run home run in this game, and right now the difference. On the flip side, it is Tommy Hunter to face Isaac Galloway, and then Derek Dietrich and Brian Anderson. There for a called strike. Hunter, the 4th pitcher today for the Phillies. It was Galloway who had an excuse me swing back in the 7th inning. Went off the glove of Nola. He reached base and came around to score on the Dietrich home run. Oh, 0-2.
Well, Tommy Hunter comes in with a 4.28 ERA. Does have a save on the season. He's picked up a few throughout his career, 18 total.
Waved at, missed, and there's one away here in the 9th.
Righties much better numbers than the lefties. 316 on the season. Lefties just 244. Hunter basically a sinker and cutter.
Well, let's go back to the the 7th inning. Derek Dietrich with a laser to right center field.
I love it. This is such a great swing. That's a changeup, and you see that arm side run from Nola. Does a fantastic job. You see the front foot hit, and there's always that little separation there where you have to hold those hands for just a split second. Great swing. Got the Marlins rolling this afternoon.
105 off the bat. A home run for Dietrich, his 14th of the season. Here comes the 0-2 pitch to first, a fair ball. Santana steps on the bag for out number 2. So it'll be up to Brian Anderson.
Well, bloop and a blast. It's certainly a possibility. Hunter's given up a couple home runs this season. 3 total. 1 to the righties, 2 to the lefties. Marlins need a base runner.
And they have one. Brian Anderson with a 3-hit day. Goes up the middle and extends this ball game with a 2-out base hit. His 8th 3-hit game of the year.
Yeah, picks on the first pitch he sees, a fastball right down the middle of the plate. Right back with it. Hard hit through the middle.
I mean, I love it. He just doesn't try to do too much at all. You know, he knows he can't hit a 2-run home run with nobody on base. Keep the line moving.
One other thing about Anderson, you know, he is so good this season on that first or second pitch, as you saw, first pitch back through the middle.
Castro at the first pitch, out to right field. Nick Williams is there. And the Philadelphia Phillies have swept the Marlins, taking all 4 games in this series. The final count today, 5-3. Marlins will head home, get ready for the St. Louis Cardinals. Well, the Marlins fought back in the 7th inning with a 2-run home run for Dietrich, a game-tying home run for Bohr, but Cabrera's 2-run homer the difference today. Marlins Live post-game show is coming up after the break.